Hari Om. We shall chant from verse number 6. न चैतद्विद्मः कतरन्नो गरीयः यद्वा जयेम यदि वा नो जयेयुः यानेव हत्वा न जिजीविषामः तेव स्थिता प्रमुखे धार्तराष्ट्राः कार्पण्यदोषोपहतः स्वभावः पृच्छामि त्वां धर्मसम्मूढचेताः यश्रेयस्यान्निश्चितं ब्रूहि तन्मे शिष्यस्तेऽहं शाधि मां त्वां प्रपन्नम् न हि प्रपश्यामि ममापनुद्यात् यच्छोकमुच्छोषणमिन्द्रियाणाम् अवाप्य भूमावसपत्नमृद्धम् राज्यं सुराणामपि चाधिपत्यम् संजय उवाच एवमुक्त्वा हृषीकेशं गुडाकेशः परन्तप न योत्स्य इति गोविन्दम् उक्त्वा तूष्णीं बभूवः तमुवाच ऋषिकेशः प्रहसन्निव भारत सेनयोरुभयोर्मध्ये विषीदन्तमिदं वचः श्रीभगवानुवाच अशोच्यानन्वशोचस्त्वं प्रज्ञावादांश्च भाषसे गतासु न गतासूंश्च नानुशोचन्ति पंडिताः. After giving a lot of arguments about how this war should not be fought, or I don't want to fight. Ultimately, he was seeing the whole thing from his own standpoint. I don't want to fight this war. How can I fight with my own teachers, my grandfather? It is better to live a life of just begging than to kill them. But then deep within, he also knew that as a Kshatriya, what he was doing was not proper. So he says, I don't know what is proper, whether to fight this war and win or to fight and lose. Total confusion is there. And then he decided to just surrender to Bhagavan Sri Krishna. That I am confused, my heart is filled with all these type of emotions, and I am confused regarding dharma. Dharma means karma. What is my karma? I don't know. What should I do? What should I not do? So I am totally confused. So please tell me definitely, with conviction, that what is good for me. Yashreyasya nishchitam bruhi tanme. Now this is the situation with everyone. We might not be facing a war like this, but there are these things. One thing which the whole samsara, if it can be put in one word, it is shoka. Shoka means sorrow. Different levels of sorrows might be there. And the cause for the shoka is moha. And that moha means confusion regarding what I should do. And that confusion regarding what I should do is there because where I should go, I don't know. What is my goal, I don't know. Suppose somebody asks you, which road should I take? So you will ask that person, where do you want to go? No, you don't have to worry about where I want to go. Plus, just tell me which is the shortcut. Shortcut also you want. So when the goal is not clear, then what you do and what you don't do is not clear. Because it is with reference to the goal only. Just as when you want to draw a circle, we have to hold that compass on that center and then we draw. Without that, it goes here and there. So without a goal in life, what we have to do and what we should not do doesn't become clear. Again, people have different types of goal and they are very clear also what they should do, what they should not do. But that goal which we think, which we have, might not be a proper goal. Because even after reaching that, we might not be completely satisfied and happy. So the scriptures tells us that real goal is self-knowledge. You have to know yourself. But simple. We try to know the world, we go on a world tour, want to know everything. But the scripture says, you know thyself, know who you are. And everything will get resolved. Because for world is seen by you, joys and happiness is for you, all the relationship which you have in this world is with respect to you. So when I know myself, when I can locate myself properly, when I can understand, know myself means know my nature. Whenever we say we have to know something, we have to know its nature. So when I know my nature, then everything gets resolved. My actions, my relationships, my life, death, everything makes sense, everything gets resolved. And when it gets resolved, there is great peace in that resolution itself. Even by just theoretically knowing who am I, we will have great sense of peace and sense of fulfillment and sense of what you call that there is something substantial. Otherwise, now and then, the question comes in our life that what is the purpose of all this? What is the purpose of living? What is the purpose of dying? What is the purpose of everything? So everything becomes clear when I come to know myself. My fears go away, my sorrows go away, my confusion goes away. Everything is clear. And this is the ultimate solution. The very solution which removes all the problem from its root. Therefore, Bhagavan gives this solution only. The whole Bhagavad Gita is to reveal to us our own nature. It is so deep, it is so subtle that it requires so many verses for us to know who we are. And as we study, it will start becoming more and more clear. So we should not only know who we are theoretically, but the Gita also gives a sadhana by which we can actualize it, we can experience it. The real proof of Bhagavad Gita is in its final experience. And here and now, not that Gita doesn't say that after death you will experience. Here and now, living in this world, we can experience the truth indicated in Bhagavad Gita. So Bhagavan wanted to give this great knowledge to all of us because Dwapar Yuga was coming to an end, Kali Yuga was about to begin, and Vedas were becoming more and more rare and difficult to comprehend. The Upanishads were becoming very difficult to comprehend. So the Upanishadic knowledge, simplified, is given to us in Bhagavad Gita. Also, lot of practical guidance are given in Bhagavad Gita. So it is meant for not only Arjuna, but for all of us. So one should not listen with that attitude that chalo, we are listening to story of Arjuna and Krishna. No? But it should be, listen as though Bhagwan is speaking to us. Our sorrow is also similar because of moha. So with this idea of giving this, imparting this knowledge to Arjuna and to all of us, Bhagwan became very happy. Though Arjuna was sad, Bhagwan prahasanniva bharata, and senayor ubayor madhye Vishedantam idam vachaha. He spoke to Arjuna who was filled with sorrow. So the first thing he tells Arjuna that you are grieving. He starts from grief because that is where Arjuna was. Though he was confused, that is the cause of that grief. But now he was filled deeply with grief. So Bhagavan starts from where we are, from where Arjuna is, and take him toward that state of liberation. So he says that you are grieving for those who should not be grieved. So this itself was a very stunning statement, that you are grieving for those who should not grieve, for whom you should not grieve. For two reasons. He was grieving for Bhishma Pitamaha, that he will die, and I will be the cause of his death. Dronacharya will die, and I will be the cause of his death, and so many of my relatives will die. He felt, I am the cause of their death. So, if you are thinking they will die, that is what you call not a proper understanding. Because what they are, really, that tattva doesn't die. They are nitya. That which is nitya, that which is eternal, doesn't die. That is one thing. Another, you are grieving for them, even from a worldly standpoint, they are a very noble people, good people, they have led their full life, so there is no need to grieve for them. You don't have to grieve for these good people, because even after death, they will have good gati only. So don't have to become unhappy about it. And also later on Bhagavan will tell Arjuna that you are thinking you will be killing them and you are the cause of it. That also will become clear to you. Who is really the doer of all this and what is the nature of yourself? Everything will be clear. He says that you are talking like a wise person but behaving like a fool. So it is like a contradiction. Prajnavadanscha bhashase. He says a real prajnavadi, a pandit, a jnani. And who is a jnani? Who knows himself is called jnani. Whenever the scriptures use the word jnani, wise person, a wise person is one who knows who am I. And an ignorant person may know everything about the world except himself. It's such a strange thing, such a laughable thing also. People may have great many degrees in their life, knowing everything about everything, but not knowing themselves. And they also have the feeling that we cannot know ourselves, because the scriptures are not studied. And whatever the science is talking or other books of knowledge they are talking, they are not talking about ourselves. Even those that's the science of life, zoology, botany, they are not talking about who am I. They might be talking about the body only, most of the time. So, even after studying all the books of this world, we will not know who am I. And many people, they have the notion that all the scriptures, this religion, this all bakwas, superstition. People have now reached the moon. They are sending satellites to the, vehicle to the Mars also. Science has progressed so much. No? All this is mumbo jumbo. But what science is talking about was spoken by even our Vaisheshik, that philosophy, which is considered very low, very initial level, which talks about matter. Science is talking about matter, energy, and they are still trying to find out through various experimentation, through various inferences, trying to find out the mysteries of this world. So there is an assumption that I don't know myself, but I might never know. I don't know who is God, but that is also will never be known. I don't know what is this world, but that also cannot be known. But that is wrong. We can know all this through our Vedas, and the sar of these Vedas are given in Bhagavad Gita. We can know. Logically, rationally we can know, and then we can actually experience it. See, it is not just theory. Because if it is just theory, then it can be just inference. But it is something which we can know and we can experience. So Bhagavan told Arjuna that you are grieving for those who need not be grieved for, because they are nitya. They are nitya and they are good people. So what do we mean by nitya? What do we mean by they are eternal? So here, in the next verse, Bhagavan now starts slowly revealing the nature of our own self. He says, Natvevaham jatu nasam Natvam neme janadhipaha Nachaiva na bhavishyamaha Sarve vayamatah param Natvevaham jatu nasam Natvam neme janadhipaha. Bhagavan says, Na tu eva aham jatu na asam. He says that there was never a time in the past when I was not there. Means I was always there. I was always there. There was never a time when I was non-existent. I was always there. Arjuna might say, oh, you are special, you are Bhagavan, but we are ordinary people. He says, Natvam. There was never a time when you were not there. You were always there. And na ime janadhipaha. And also there was never a time when all these great warriors and these soldiers whom you see in this battlefield, there was never a time when they were non-existent. They were always there. And this is applicable for all of us. All of you who are sitting here. And you are experiencing your own existence now. Nobody has any doubt about their own existence. If somebody asks you about existence of God and all, you might have doubt. But if someone asks you about your own existence, no doubt is there. I know that I exist. How I know and all, I might not have contemplated on it, but I know that I exist, that I am alive, and I exist. So that you who is experiencing your own existence now, there was never a time when you were not existing. You were always existing. All of us were always existing. Now these people may say, oh, how come? Because I know when I was born, I have a certificate also. Little dates I have changed to get admission, but otherwise, certificate is there. So how come you say that? He says this body is what we got in this lifetime. This body we got when we were born. In this lifetime actually we got this body, and this body will fall down also. Body is not myself. In this body itself I was not existing from beginningless time. But I was existing from beginningless time. Means there was never a time when I was non-existent. See, when a person dies, only the physical body is left behind, which gets disintegrated and merges into these 5 elements, because this body is made up of 5 elements. Akash, the space which we occupy, which this body occupy, is Akash. If you go on diet, you will occupy less space. But whatever space you occupy is called Akash. Then there is Vayu. There is air in this body, a lot of air. Then there is fire. Heat is there. Heat is there in this body. And body is like a fuel also. Sometimes it burns. Or after death also they burn it. It burns by itself. So there is fire in this body. Then there is water. Body sook jati hai puri. There is water, lot of water is there. And there is that matter, solid matter is there. So these are the 5 elements which go to make our body. And this matter we got from our parents. So from the mother, from the father, we got this. Parents means from the parents' body. So from the father's body, from the mother's body, we got the material. And when this was in the mother's womb, this I identifies with this body. I enter as though this body and grow in mother's womb, means the body grows, and then with the body I take birth. I take birth means body takes birth. And I live the entire life. The body exists till the prarabdha of my prarabdha is there. Till that time this body exists, and then that body gets dropped and I take up another body. So in this way we have been living in many, many bodies. Countless. All possible bodies which are there in this world and other worlds, we must have lived in this. Because we have been here from beginningless time. There is no beginning for our time. I, the Jiva, you, the Jiva, we are existing from beginningless time. It is said whenever the world goes into dissolution, the Jivas also, they remain in as though in suspension, in the dissolved state, and then again we are born. So in this way, we are always existing. So I don't die. When I say I, not only that supreme self which will be indicated, but even our mind, our intellect, our senses, and the pranas, they don't die. The pranas also don't. Just like I gave example last time, I think, of the mobile. So the mobile, that outer shell is there, which we can keep changing according to whatever new model comes. We get excited and we buy the new one. But that inside the chip, we remove and put it in the new one. So, similarly, this body is like an outer shell only, but that pranas, the senses, the mind, the intellect, the ego are the inner bodies. They are called Sukshma Sharir. The Sukshma Sharir also doesn't die. But inside that Sukshma Sharir, I am existing. I live even inside it. So that I never dies. Is always, Bhagavan says, there was never a time when I was not there, when you were not there, or when these people were not there. I was always there, you were always there, and all these people were always there. Okay, till now we have somehow survived. What about future? He said, Nacha eva na bhavishyamaha. That even in future you will not die. This is a very powerful fact. It is not a theory, a powerful fact. So, Nacha eva na bhavishyamaha. Here Bhagavan reveals it directly in the beginning itself. And then he will keep on explaining and also giving us the technique by which we can experience it. We can actualize it. So, na chaiva na bhavishyamaha. There will never be a time in future when I will become non-existence. Sarve vayamata param. All these people who are there, everyone will always exist in future also. So in all the 3 periods of time, the self exists. There was never a time when I am non-existent. But this becomes very difficult to comprehend unless it is explained and with some example, logic. It's very difficult to comprehend. So in the next verse, Bhagavan makes us understand this. It's a very beautiful verse with a wonderful live example. He says, Dehinosmin yatha dehe Kaumaram yauvanam jara Tatha dehantara praptihi Dhirastatra namuhyati Dehinosmin yatha dehe Kaumaram yauvanam jara Tatha dehantara praptihi. He says, Dehinaha asmin dehe. This Dehinaha is that I, the self, who lives in this body, is called Dehi. One who has got Deha is called Dehi. Dehinaha. One who is living in this body. Just like we have a big house and all. We ask, kiska ghar hai? Kaun rehta hai yahan par? Then we say, oh, he's staying there. Minister is staying there. But I don't know how long he will stay there, but now he is staying there. So similarly, I, the self. See, when we say Atma, Atma means I, the self, the subject, the one who is experiencing this world is that I. Who is this I? Who is that Atma? Atma is one who is experiencing the world, who is experiencing the waking state, dream, deep sleep state, who is experiencing joys and sorrows in this world. That subject, the innermost core of this personality, this being, that I is called Dehi because he is living in this body. We not only live in our physical body, but we are living in our Sukshma Sharir also, subtle body also. Just as again we have a house, so there is an outer room, then there is inner room, then there is inner room, and there we might be sitting. Or like when we go to a temple, the outer courtyard is there, then we enter the temple, big hall is there, then further we enter a smaller hall, then we go inside, and there we have the sanctum sanctorium, and inside there is that murti is there, which is illumined by the light within that temple, in that sanctum sanctorium. Similarly, these various layers are there. Actually, there are 5 layers, Pancha Koshas, the Sthula Sharir, what you call the Annamaya Kosh, Pranamaya Kosh, Manomaya Kosh, Vijnanamaya Kosh, Anandamaya Kosh. Various coverings are there, and deep within I live. That doesn't mean I am a small, little, tiny little person, I say within because it is more and more subtle. It's like space. Yeah? It's like onion, if you take, you keep on peeling. Inside, more and more. And finally, there is nothing is there. That nothing is outside also. But when you peel it, then you find. So that is subtle. We say it is inside because it is very sukshma. It is very subtle. So that is called Dehi. So Dehinaha asmin Dehe, in this body, goes through various stages. This body goes through various stages. What are the stages? He says Kaumaram, Yauvanam, Jara. Kaumaram means Kumar Avastha. We are little children. Kumar Avastha. And nowadays, as soon as the child is born, the parents start taking photographs and keep a record of them. They are walking, they are talking, they are doing all sorts of things. So you find that as you see that photograph, you will find that child, the body of the child is changing. So that is Kumar Avastha, infant. Then there is Yuva Avastha, Yauvanam, young dynamic person with lot of hosh, lot of josh, not hosh, but lot of josh. Then Jara Avastha. Jara means old age. Angangalitam palitam mundam. If we sit, we cannot stand up. If we stand, we can't sit. If we eat, it doesn't get digested. Whole things come out as it is. So all sorts of things happen. So that is old age. Body. Now, very interesting. The Kumar Avastha is a different Avastha altogether. Yuva Avastha is totally different. The body, not even one cell of the body is there in that Yuva Avastha of that childhood. And in Vriddha Avastha, it's totally different. So these are 3 different avasthas, different from each other. But still, when I was a young boy, I knew that I was there. I myself was there as a youth. I myself am there as an elderly person. So dehinosmin yatha dehe kaumaram yauvanam jara. When these different stages of this body happens, I don't change. I remember myself as a little child. I remember myself as a young person. I remember myself as now. So that I, myself, have not changed. When the young body dies and the what you call the little child's body as though goes away and the young person's body comes, I am not born. And when that body is dropped and the elderly body comes, I don't die. I remain same. This is everyone's experience. It's the most interesting, fascinating. See, when, for example, if let us say you are sitting in your balcony and observing the traffic. One car comes, it goes away, then a cycle comes, it goes away, then a truck comes, it goes away. If someone asks you, what are the various vehicles came here? So you say, car came, cycle came, truck came. Because you, the observer, were the same. They were different. If you ask that cycle fellow what came behind, he might not know. Similarly, you are the same. Childhood came, went away. Youth came, went away. This avastha came, it will go away. So I, the observer, I, the knower, I, the experiencer of this body and its various stages, that I has not changed in this life. Bhagavan is talking about this life as an example. So yatha asmin dehe kaumaram yauvanam jara tatha, in the same way Bhagavan says, dehantara praptihi, this when this body falls down and another body you pick up, you will not change. You will remain as it is. Because it is happening in this lifetime itself, same thing is happening. Though you say that it is the same body, it is not the same body, but it's similar body. You have remained same even when the body changes, same way you will remain same even when the body is dropped and you take up another body. Tatha dehantara praptihi. Just as we change our dress. When I am wearing a particular dress, even when the dress is changing as I am during the day, in the morning people wear very fresh, nice, ironed dress. During the day it keeps on changing. कुछ गिर जाता है, कुछ लग जाता है, all sorts of things happen, but you remain same. Similarly, when you remove that dress and wear another one, you remain same. That's what Bhagavan says, that in this body itself, the way you remain same even when the body changes, tatha dehantara praptihi, same will happen when you will get another body. When this body falls off and another, and this has happened millions of times. Not 1, 2, 3, infinite times. So it is not something new. Dying is not something new. Taking birth is not something new. We have died many times and we have taken birth many times. In every birth we had different parents, we have different relatives, we had different neighbors and we had different bosses. Yeah? So that might keep on changing. But I remain same. So tatha dehantara praptihi. So dhira purusa, a wise person should understand this, should deeply comprehend this. So wise person, dhiraha means a wise person who understands this, even theoretically. Even if you can, you are convinced rationally about it. That's called dhiraha. A wise person, he says, tatra na muhyati. He doesn't get deluded because of life and death. He doesn't get deluded because of that. He doesn't say that, oh, this person will be dead and gone. He doesn't get deluded. He knows that body will go, that is there. But he doesn't get deluded about the existence of that inner self. So, dhiraha tatra na muhyati. So, hey Arjuna, you should also become dhira. and don't get deluded by all this life and death. Now, one question is there that okay, suppose I consider myself as Nitya. I consider everyone as Nitya. Nitya means eternal, non-dying, not changing. But, what is but? That even while living in this world, though I am not dying, not there is no death for me, but the body changes. And there is constant interaction with the world, so there is constant experience of joys and sorrows. And these joys, sorrows, fear, etc. in this body, in this life, even though I know that I am Nitya, it is there. It is there for a wise person, it is there for a foolish person also. Even when I know that I am Nitya, sorrow comes. Even when I don't know that I am Nitya, sorrow comes. So, if I know Nitya, I will not have that delusion that, oh, I will die and all. But what about the joys and sorrows? How to deal with them? How to deal with the ups and downs of our life? How to deal with the sorrows of our life? That Bhagavan now tells in the next verse. Matra sparshastu kaunteya शीतोष्ण सुख दुःखदाः आगमापायिनो नित्याः तान् स्थितिक्षस्व भारत मात्रा स्पर्शास्तु He says matra sparshaha. Matra means the senses, which measures as though. The senses, our eyes, ears, nose, the senses, organs of perception, they are called matra because they measure. What do they measure? The eyes measure the form and color, ears measure the sound. They are as though measuring this world. Therefore, they are called matra. Sparshaha. Sparsha, touch. Touch means the senses, what they touch or what they measure or observe. What are they, sparsha? The 5 objects. Shabda, sparsha, rupa, rasa, gandha. They are called sparshaha. The 5 objects of perception. The world which we see in front of us, only 5 stimuli reaches us. Sound, Shabda, Sparsha, touch, Rupa, form or color, then Rasa, taste, and Gandha, smell. Bas, through our senses, we only get this 5 sensation from the world. And when we are in contact with this world in this way, when the senses contact the world, then there is experience of different types. Bhagavan says Shita, Ushna. For example, we feel cold, or we feel hot, or we feel happy, we feel unhappy. All this we feel, we experience when the senses come in contact with the world outside. When I am in deep sleep state, there is no joy, sorrow, nothing touches me at that time, because I am not in contact with the world outside. Robbers come, they take away all my wealth, but I am peacefully sleeping. Somebody comes and curses me, I am not bothered by that. Why? Because the ears are not hearing, eyes are not seeing, nose is not smelling. So there is no contact with the world outside. So Bhagavan says, due to this contact with the world outside, there is experience of joys and sorrow. There is experience of Shita and Ushna. All these experiences are there when that I, the self, through my senses, also when I have to use my senses, behind them the Antakarana should be there. Without the mind, senses cannot function. So through my Sukshma Sharir, I experience this world, and when I contact this world, and when there is contact with this world, there is experience of joy and sorrow. Yeah. So without this contact, there is no experience of joy and sorrow. Again, Bhagavan says that agama apayinaha, all this contact with the world outside, it has got a beginning and it has got an end. Agama is coming, and apayinaha, it comes to an end. Therefore, anityaha, all these are anitya. Anitya means not eternal, not lasting. All our experiences, where the experience is gained by contact of the world outside, are non-eternal. See, बहुत मेहनत करके we get something, we get that experience, but that doesn't last. It goes away. Everything has got a beginning and then it got an end. Some may seem to be lasting for a longer time, but nothing in this world is ever lasting. No object is everlasting. No state is everlasting. No achievement is everlasting. No seat is everlasting. Nothing is everlasting. It changes. So it has got a beginning, it has got an end. Anityaha. So, when we are experiencing it, we know that it will come to an end. So Bhagavan says, hey Arjuna, you learn to bear with it. Tans titikshasva bharata. You bear with it. You just go through it. There is no what you call choice. If sorrow comes, you bear with that sorrow. When joy comes, you bear with that joy. Everything is anitya. It will not last forever. Why? Because that is the very nature of this world. This is also another very powerful thing which we have to understand. These two things we have to understand. What? That I, the self, is nitya, and this world which we are, through that interaction with the world, the joys and sorrow which we experience, the world is also anitya, the joys and sorrows are also anitya. Anitya means changing, not lasting. The world is not denied. The experience of the world is also not denied. What is denied is that it is not lasting. It is changing. This is also, it might seem very, ये तो simple है, मेरे को पहले भी पता था, you know. मैं ही लिख देता भगवद गीता. It is one thing to just understand, another is to really comprehend it and be convinced about it and apply it in our life. And that is what Bhagavan Gautam Buddha also understood. That sarvam kshanikam kshanikam sarvam dukkham dukkham. What he understood was about the world, not about the self. Self is eternal and self is of the nature of joy. Self is not kshanikam and self is not dukkham, but the world is. So, hey Arjuna, Tans titikshasva. Titiksha means forbearance. You keep on doing your work. Whether you do this way, that way, the result will keep coming. And you will constantly experience the joys and sorrows. You cannot help it. There are certain results which come to everyone equally. When it is summer for everyone. We can face it by our own effort, keeping a special AC in our room and all. But the outer world, so many things are same for everyone. So, tans titikshasva bharata, you bear with it, you tolerate it, you just go through it. Don't shout, don't cry, don't resist, don't keep on doing, because it will come, it will go by itself. So, tans titikshasva bharata. Now, why we should be titiksha? Why not shout? Why not complain? It will not help. Whatever you do, it will not help. Certain things are there which will keep on changing. You can't do anything about it. Many things we don't want it to change, but it changes. And certain things we want it to change, that also changes. So change is the changeless law of this world. हर चीज बदलती है. आत्मा को छोड़ के हर चीज बदलती है. So you understand the nature of the world and you understand the nature of the self and bear with the joys and sorrows of this world. You do your best to get minimum sorrow in this world, but bear with it. See, the sorrow, joy comes according to our karma also. So you do karma in such a way that you get positive results. But there is no guarantee. Positive, negative keep coming in our life. Even great avatar Bhagwan takes, they also have to go through all ups and downs. Because that is the very nature of this world. Every action has got defect in it. There is no action which is completely perfect. आप सबसे श्रेष्ठ एक्शन करो, उसमें भी कुछ ना कुछ दोष होता है. सर्व कर्म ही दोषेण धूमेनाग्निव अग्नि इव आवृताः. Bhagwan says all karmas are as though covered by dosha, just like fire has got little bit of smoke in it. Some are very pure, less smoke, some have more smoke, but smoke is there. So, where there is this doshi yukta karma is there, some sorrow, some pain, some trouble comes. Even when Bhagwan takes avatar, we find some doshi in him. Even Yudhishthira, who was trying to follow the path of dharma, there was some doshi in him. So, just bear with it. But why? Why should I have this titiksha? Further, Bhagwan says, Yam hi na vyathayantete Purusham Purusharshabha Samadukha Sukham Dhiram Somrutatvaya Kalpate Yam hi na vyathayantete. Bhagwan says कि यम ही न व्यथयन्ते ते पुरुषम पुरुषर्षभ. Purusham, that person, which person? Samadukka sukham, one who remains sama, one who remains equanimous in sukha and dukkha. Sama in sukha and dukkha, he knows that this is sukha, this is dukkha. But he remains balanced. Balanced means what? He remains, his understanding of his self doesn't change. His understanding of the world doesn't change. His understanding about his goal doesn't change. His understanding about what is dharma and adharma doesn't change. His understanding about the values of life and all doesn't change. That's called sama. Sama doesn't mean that you just remain, heat is there and somehow you bear it. No. Sama means your philosophy, your vision, your knowledge should not change with the joys and sorrows of this world. When some sorrow comes, people become cynical. Many times it happens. Because our whole knowledge itself was not proper, therefore it happens. People have different type of faith in Bhagwan, and they have their own notion how he should behave. Then they will and then they will expect something to happen, and that it doesn't happen. Then they lose faith. Bhagwan kuch nahi, kya hai? What God, which God, how God, when God, why God? No God. So they lose faith in God. Their mind gets disturbed. Their philosophy changes. They start with social work, but they get a lot of bad experiences. Then they generalize all people are bad. किसी की सेवा कुछ नहीं करनी चाहिए. All useless thing and all. खाओ पियो ऐश करो, अपना खुद का देखो. Others, let them go wherever they want. So, sorrow changes a person, joy also changes a person. Joy and sorrow are such, they can change a person's philosophy. Sorrow can make a person totally negative also. And positive also. You never know how it will change. There are sometimes, like Arjuna had sorrow and he surrendered to Bhagavan Krishna. Others might have sorrow and they might follow adharma, paradharma and all. Joy also changes a person. Becomes superficial, the philosophy changes and all sorts of things. Gives up his friends and all and all. So, sama dukkha, sukham means sukha and dukkha when it comes in our life. When we are experiencing it. I am experiencing sukha, I am experiencing dukkha. But my understanding, my chitta remains saman. My buddhi remains saman. Sama buddhi, later on Bhagavan will use these terms also. Sama buddhi, sama chitta, sama drishti. My vision also remains saman. So sama dukkha sukham, a person who is sama dukkha sukhi, one who is dhira, a wise person who understands the nature of the self, and who understand the nature of the world is called a wise person. Such a person, na vyathayantete, who doesn't get agitated, who doesn't get afflicted, who doesn't get disturbed by yete. Yete means this two. Two means the joys and sorrow, the heat, shita, ushna, sukha, dukkha. The ups and downs of this world doesn't agitate a person, this person. Such a person, hey Purusharshabha, Bhagavan is addressing Arjuna as the best among all men. Purusharshabha, Purusha Rishabha, bull among men, best among men. Hey Purusharshabha, such a person, Amrutatvaya kalpate, becomes fit, becomes adhikari to experience that Amrutatvam. Amrutatvam is another name for our own self. It is called Amrut because it doesn't die. Mrita means that which dies. Amrut, which doesn't die, which never dies. So Amrutatvam, one becomes fit to comprehend, to experience, to realize this Amrutatvam. If we keep the mind, our intellect, chitta in balance by the ups and downs of this world. It's like the lighthouse remains unmoved by the waves which are dashing against it. But the ship, boat and all goes up and down. So similarly, one who remains balanced in these joys and sorrows of this world, through his vivek, through his understanding of his self and the world and all, such a person becomes fit to gain that state of enlightenment, to gain the state of realization. Therefore, this is a very good thing. So, it was said, Atma always exists, it never dies. Then the world constantly changes. So, this understanding about that which changes and that which doesn't change, that Bhagavan now reveals in the next verse. It's a very beautiful verse in which he tells what exactly it means by the term changing and non-changing. How to understand, how to recognize that which is real and that which is changing. It's a very deep and nice verse. It says, नासतो विद्यते भावः ना भावो विद्यते सतः उभयोरपि दृष्टोऽन्तः त्वनयोस्तत्त्वदर्शिभिः नासतो विद्यते he says that na asatah vidyate bhavaha. He said that which is asat doesn't have existence. And na abhava vidyate satah, and that which is sat doesn't have a non-existence. Now this Shita, Ushna, Sukha, Dukkha which was mentioned, and this world which was mentioned, that world which is constantly changing is called asataha, asat. We will see exactly what it means. And that changeless reality, the self, is called Sat. But how to recognize this? How to know? How to know what is Sat and what is Asat? See, this understand that the word Asat, in English generally we translate it as unreal, but that is not a proper translation. Sat we translate as real, that is fine. Sat is called changeless reality, and Asat is changing reality. So there is that which is the changeless reality, and there is this changing reality. Two things Bhagavan had mentioned. One was the self, another is the world. Matra sparshastu, our matra, our senses, then the objects which we contact through our senses, all this is part of the world only. The senses are also part of the world, and the outer world is also world. Our body, not only the outer physical body, but the inner body, Sukshma Sharir, is also part of this world. It is a subtle world, but it is also part of the world. It also undergoes constant change. But that inner self is Sat, is pure, is real. So here Bhagavan says that which is Asat, it doesn't have an existence, and that which is Sat never have a non-existence. Now Bhagavan Shankaracharya ji has given a long commentary on this. But before we go into what he has written, just with an example we will try to understand. For example, there is this what you call mitti, what you call clay and clay pot. Clay and clay pot. Okay. Clay and clay pot means there is only one thing, that clay pot is there. Now, when we look at this clay pot, there are two things which we can experience. One is we experience the form, and we also have given some name to it. So we experience a form and a name we have given. But we also experience the mitti. We also experience the clay. So clay is what we call the material cause, the essential nature of that pot, and there is this pot. Now, the pot pot keeps on changing. In the sense, the shape of the pot can change, or the pot can break, the pot can undergo some modification, but the clay remains same. For example, when you go to a pot maker and all, you will find that he has made a nice mitti, पूरा उसको पानी वानी डाल के अच्छा फर्स्ट क्लास मिट्टी बनाता है पहले. So when you go in the morning, you see a big dhela of mitti is there. Okay. Then he picks up that mitti, put it on the wheel, and keep on making those beautiful pot. सब wheel घुमा के first class, it's very beautiful. अंदर भी हाथ डाल के वो पूरा पॉट बनाता है. Then in the evening when you come, you see, so many pots are there. Morning there were no pots, but now so many pots are there. So the pots have come into existence, and when you break them, the pot goes into non-existence. The pots have birth and the pots die, but the mitti remains. Before the pot existed, mitti existed. After the pot gets destroyed, mitti will exist. Mitti is called Sat and pot is called Asat. ये एग्जाम्पल ध्यान में रखो. वैसे ही आत्मा or that reality that is called Sat, and this world is called Asat. That Atma is like mitti, the world is like pot. Here Bhagwan Shankaracharya ji very beautifully he defines both this Sat as well as Asat. See, both Sat and Asat are experienced by us through our buddhi. Both we experience. That which is real and that which is changing, both of them are experienced with the help of our buddhi. आप लोग सब सुन रहे हैं ना? Both of them are the object of our buddhi. Now see, very interesting. When we are experiencing any object of this world, the experience of both the Sat as well as Asat happens at the same time. For example, I am experiencing this watch. I say watch is. So I experience the watch, the shape. I also have given it a name, but with my eyes and all, I experience the form, the color. But when I experience it, I also experience what is called the existence of this. I say watch is. Then I say this mic is, book is. Whatever you experience in this world, there is a strange experience associated with it of is. You understand? Kuch bhi. Whatever you experience, even a ghost is experienced as is. When we are experiencing the world, that we are experiencing two things simultaneously, the name and the form, or the form and the existence. Bhagavan says that form keeps on changing. If my buddhi has understood it as a particular form, after some time it changes. So the object of that form keeps on changing. The form keeps on changing. But that existence remains same. So Bhagavan Shankaracharya ji gives very beautiful definition of the Sat and Asat. He said, Yad Vishaya Buddhi na Vyabhicharati Tat Sat. The object, when we are experiencing this as ease is my experience through my buddhi, but what is that object which is experienced as ease that we don't see? What is that which is experienced as ease that we don't see? So that which is experienced as ease is called Sat, and that which is experienced as changing is called Asat. ये थोड़ा सा सूक्ष्म है, but it's very interesting. And the whole Vedanta, the whole thing is so very beautiful, scientific, rational, but it requires a lot of patience to comprehend. And once it is comprehended, then everything is clear. So many times you must have heard, oh, Jagat Asat hai, Asat hai. Asat doesn't mean that it is not there. Asat also doesn't mean that it is an illusion. Asat means it is there but changing. Now, let us say, I have just imagine a gold necklace. You can see? So, in that, there are two things. One is gold and another is necklace. But really speaking, there are no two things. There is one thing only, gold only. With my eyes, what I see is gold. With my hands, what I touch is gold. With my tongue, what I taste is gold. With my nose, what I smell is gold. So through my senses, I am experiencing gold. But because of a particular form, it is called necklace. But what is its essential nature is gold. Essential nature is gold. But the form makes it we give other name to it. Similarly, the essential nature of this world is that Sat. But the name and form of this world keeps on changing. The necklace changes, the bangle changes. One day it is bangle, then I break it, I make it into a necklace, then break it, make it into other ornaments. So those ornaments keep on changing, but the gold doesn't change. So when I see an gold ornament, there are two types of buddhi which happens, two types of experience. One is gold experience and another is ornament experience. So gold experience is one, and ornament experience changes, gold experience remains same. Similarly, Bhagavan says in everything of this world there are two experiences. Experience of ease and experience of that form. That experience of the form keeps on changing, but the experience of ease belongs to that Sat which doesn't change. So what the sar of this is, that this sukha, dukkha, everything what we experience in this world is changing. It is asat. It is changing. It doesn't have a separate existence. Its existence depends on its cause, which is that which is changeless, which is that which is real. So that Sat alone is experienced as this world. And that Sat is our own self. So Bhagavan tells Arjuna that a person who is wise, he knows this difference very clearly. He says, Ubhayo api drishtaha antaha. Both this thing is seen very clearly. By whom? Anayoho tattvadarshibhihi, the tattvadarshi. Tattva means, tat is another name for that supreme reality. Tat is sarvanam. It is the name of that sarva. Sarva is that supreme reality, which is also called Brahma. One who has got the knowledge of that tat is called tattvadarshi. So one who has got this deep understanding of what is sat and what is this asat, one who knows this, he doesn't get affected, he doesn't get disturbed, he doesn't get deluded by the happenings of this world. So Bhagavan tells Arjuna, you get established in this buddhi. You sit in this buddhi and then look at this world. Just again to give that example of the lighthouse. Suppose you are sitting in that boat, you will be rocking constantly. But when you jump out of that boat and sit on that rock where the lighthouse and all are there, then you will remain stable. Similarly, when our buddhi is not understanding the sat and asat properly, then we get disturbed. But when the buddhi has clearly understood that this is sat, this is asat. Asat means changing reality, sat means changeless reality. That asat, that changing will change whatever you do. And that sat will not change whatever you do. One who understands this even theoretically doesn't get disturbed by the joys and sorrows of this world. Bhagavan says this sukha, dukkha and all that is, this is asat, it's changing. It doesn't have a separate existence. Before it was born, it was not there. After it goes away, it will not be there. Just like the pot. Before pot came into existence, it was not there. After the pot gets destroyed, it will not be there. But what will remain? Mitti will remain. Before this world came into existence, before all these things, I was there. And when everything will go away, I will remain. I am that sat, and this is all the asat, the changing. So this understanding of this sat and asat will help us to remain calm and peaceful in all situations of this world. More about this, because this is just a beginning. Bhagavan will slowly tell us how exactly we should prepare our mind to comprehend this supreme truth that we will see in our next session. Now we will conclude with a prayer. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.